te kākano o te wānanga ka whakatō ki te whenua haumoko o te tangata. Ka tupu mā te wai o te kukune, ka hihiri, ka hinengaro, ka manako, ka ngākau aroha. Ka puawai hei hua mō te ao.
Books are good for you. They help you learn stuff.
They open up other people's imagination. It could be real, it could be a friend's story.
I do like stories about naughty children.
I like past and future books, or like the past has been like mixed up into something else. Or
I love reading books because it lets me escape, because if I'm sad or angry or something, I just grab a book off the shelf.
I like reading books because it pulls you into another story that somebody else has been through, because I like stories that's like are true.
And the poems and the comics and the bedtime stories, they all give me a wonderful feeling of joy and happiness.
Non-fiction and science books.
And graphic novels, and I also like reading books about cats.
I really want to be a writer.
Kia ora mai e te iwi. A very warm welcome to this virtual presentation of the 2020 New Zealand Book Awards for children and young adults. As COVID concerns linger, we can't all be together to celebrate the very best books for young New Zealanders published in Aotearoa. So huge thanks to all our friends in the children's literature community for joining us via your screens. Don't hold back on the cheering and the clapping. The neighbours won't mind. To be a finalist in these awards is a significant achievement. Each book we celebrate this evening enriches the lives of young New Zealanders. Congratulations to you all. Before we begin our awards announcements, we are honoured to share a message from our Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Jacinda Ardern, followed by a welcome from New Zealand Book Awards Trust Chair, Nicola Leggett.
Kia ora, and thank you for inviting me to speak at this year's New Zealand Book Awards for children and young adults. Where would we be without books, especially children's books, which open the doors to imagination, increase knowledge and give a sense of who we are and where we belong? These awards recognise the very best books for children and young adults published in Aotearoa. This year, more than ever, children can benefit from the escape of a good story. Reading sends us on adventures, helps us learn something new and feeds our curiosity. It can bring families and whānau together in uncertain times. I appreciate the tremendous role of the New Zealand Book Awards Trust and Trust members representing authors, booksellers, librarians and publishers, along with your independent trustees. Together you have a vision for celebrating books written by New Zealanders for New Zealanders, our stories written specifically here for our tamariki. And this year, a record 178 entries were received. My congratulations to all the writers, illustrators, translators and their publishers who have been shortlisted for these awards and are recognised this evening. These awards are a distinctive celebration of the contribution you make to building our national identity and cultural heritage. And while not everyone can be a winner, the shortlist reveals the depth of the talent we have here in New Zealand. Our children's imagination, knowledge and understanding is in good hands. And for that, I say thank you, everyone.
Tēnā koutou katoa, talofa lava, maloa lele, kia orana, namaste, ni hao. It's our great pleasure to bring you online the New Zealand Book Awards for Children and Young Adults for 2020. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for being with us, and thank you to our Prime Minister. These awards are a celebration of the taonga that is our nation's children's literature sector, and all have worked in it with such vision and commitment down the decades. They are awards for excellence, but we also all need sales, and so the Book Awards Trust is committed to make sure that authors' books sell. Again this year, 45,000 copies of our fantastic finalist booklet went out via magazines, bookstores and libraries, and point of sale also went out. As a result, we've seen a substantial and sustained spike in sales of the finalist books. In addition, right now across Aotearoa, children are having the chance to meet and learn from our finalists as part of the online Books Alive author program run for us this year by Lianza through public and school libraries from Invercargill to Dargaville. These awards are also about partnerships, with our great awards friends, part of the family that is the New Zealand children's literature ecosystem. So huge thanks go to our enduring funder, Creative New Zealand, Hell Pizza, who continue to invest massively in the Reading Challenge, the Wright Family Foundation, Lianza, Te Ropu Whakaho, and libraries nationwide, the Wellington City Council and its libraries team, Nielsen Book, all the bookshops around the country who support and promote our finalists, and publishers for their vision, their creativity, and for backing their authors. Very importantly, a huge thank you must go to our expert dedicated judges, led this year by Jane Arthur and Moana Monroe. Theirs was an enormous task, and we're so very grateful. But the most important people to thank, of course, are the authors, illustrators, and translators of the finalist books. You are the heroes of these awards, and you are the champions who keep our tamariki delighted and inspired. Your work is so important. Congratulations. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. An exciting hour lies ahead of us, and don't forget to buy and read the books afterwards. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Kia ora, Nicola. And now, let's welcome convener of the 2020 judges, Jane Arthur, to share some thoughts about this year's judging process.
Tēnā koutou. Books and stories have never lost their importance. I'd argue they're proving their worth more and more all the time, allowing us to affirm our identities through words, to learn about others, to discover histories and galaxies, mythologies and alternate realities, to lose time and grow wonder, to feel deeply and to laugh. The judging process for this year's New Zealand Book Awards for children and young adults has involved months of reading, piles of books, and a fantastic behind-the-scenes team. Thanks to the other judges, including the skilled Te Kura Pounamu team, Moana Monroe, Celia Jo Olsen, and Frances Leaf. Thanks for the energy, expertise, and humour of the members of the English language category judging panel, of which I was convener. Alan Dingley, Briar Laurie, Steph Matuku, and Charlotte McKay. There were 178 entries in this year's awards. The finalists represent the best of a very strong bunch, and many rigorous and impassioned discussions were had during the selection process. Thanks and congratulations to the authors, illustrators, translators, editors, designers, publishers, to everyone involved in making these books. You made our job a pleasure. Mauri ora.
Thank you, Jane. We begin our category announcements with the Best First Book Award, which supports new and emerging talent. The prize will go to a previously unpublished author or illustrator. And the 2020 finalists are #TUMEKE, written by Michael Petherick and published by Annual Inc. Massey University Press. A humble community notice board gives life to an amazing, immensely recognisable New Zealand melting pot with humour that hits on a variety of levels. Lizard's Tale, written by Weng Wei Chan and published by Text Publishing. An action-packed novel that rollicks through World War II Singapore, vividly reimagining the wartime genre. Santa's Worst Christmas, illustrated by Isabel Joy Te Aho White, and published by Huia Publishers. Santa battles across the pre-Xmas blues, and as it should be, Kiwi kids save Christmas. The Day the Plants Fought Back, written by Belinda O'Keefe and published by Scholastic New Zealand. A great read aloud with quality rhyming and a reminder, if you don't look after your plants, they will fight back. The Smelly Giant, illustrated by Leah Mutton-Rogers and published by Huia Publishers. A kindly giant with smelly feet wins over his village, and the emotional layered illustrations win the reader over. Now, to acknowledge our talented first-time authors and illustrators, and to announce the winner, we welcome Judge Alan Dingley. After each category announcement, we will cross directly to the winner.
This year's finalists for the Best First Book Award perfectly showcase the strength of New Zealand's emerging talent, with 4 of the first-time authors or illustrators also finalists in the main categories. From 36 eligible entries, we selected a shortlist that is bursting with originality, fun, and engaging characters, and it has something for everyone. There are tales told, lessons learned, and hearts won from these freshly minted authors and illustrators. I am delighted to announce that the 2020 winner of the Best First Book Award is #TUMEKE, written by Michael Pretherick and published by Annual Inc. Massey University Press. #TUMEKE is every bit as diverse as the Newtown community, which we see revealed piece by piece as the endearing, fun mosaic that makes New Zealand the paradise it is. Michael tells a sweet and funny tale with a creative multimedia format that engages the eye and challenges the brain. Readers will find themselves cheering on every new character and will easily see themselves somewhere in this genre-bending book.
Oh, hello there. Is that the book, people? Michael Pretherick couldn't be here to accept his award. He's off collecting guinea pigs for dog food. I said I'd do it for him. Deadly eye stagger! I'm the deadly eye stagger. Some of you might have thought I was dead, but that only happens in stories. Michael said he'd like to thank all the children who did the illustrations in his book. #TUMEKE. He'd also like to thank his publishers, Annual Inc., Kate, the Golden de Goldie, and Susan, the Paris Cleaver. Paris. And Massey University Press, Nicola Leggett. Nicola's very important. You know, children should be able to see themselves in the books that they read. So Michael and I hope that all the children of New Zealand can see themselves in Michael's book, #TUMEKE. Anyway, better get back to the wrestling maneuvers. Goodbye.
Congratulations, Michael, for your well-deserved win, and to Annual Inc. and Massey University Press for introducing this bright new talent. Our next announcement is for the Picture Book Award. The 2020 finalists in this category are Abigail and the Birth of the Sun, written by Matthew Cunningham, illustrated by Sarah Wilkins, and published by Puffin, Penguin Random House. This beautifully woven mix of science and magic is a tribute to the endless curiosity of children at bedtime. How MＡUI Slowed the Sun, written and illustrated by Donovan Bixley, advised and translated by Darren Joseph and Kerry Orpai, and published by Upstart Press. A playful retelling of a New Zealand classic that visually leaps off the page. MAUI, Goody 4 Shoes, written by Stacey Gregg, illustrated by Ruth Paul, and published by Scholastic New Zealand. A gentle tale that delights with both MAUI's petulant antics and her hard-learned lessons of friendship and jealousy. Santa's Worst Christmas, written by Pania Taho Hodges and Bryony Walker, illustrated by Isabel Joy Te Aho White, and published by Huia Publishers. A truly Kiwi spin on Christmas, with text that bursts with joy and vivid illustrations packed with detail that will raise a new laugh on every read. The Gobbledegook book, written by Joy Cowley, illustrated by Giselle Clarkson, and published by Gecko Press. A selection of Joy Cowley's wonderful and whimsical poetry for children is brought together with playful and creative illustration. And now to talk about the picture book category and to announce the winner, we welcome Judge Charlotte Mackay.
The finalists in this category all demonstrated a magical mastery of the demanding art of creating the perfect picture book. They achieved the elusive, simple sophistication that the best picture books have, and are as likely to make adults smile as children. These books deal with big questions, daunting adventures, relatable challenges and zany situations, and all are stories that will invite fun and bring joy to the readers. I am thrilled to announce that the 2020 winner of the Picture Book Award is Abigail and the Birth of the Sun, written by Matthew Cunningham, illustrated by Sarah Wilkins, and published by Puffin Penguin Random House. This book ticked all the boxes for a great picture book. Abigail is a very real and relatable character. Her curiosity drives the story and is formed in a magical question of possibility. Her father tenderly cradles this curiosity, creating a beautiful narrative answer to her big question that is part magic, part science. The language is evocative and poetic, and yet still packed with facts, and the illustrations support this gentle yet fantastical approach.
Wow, I wasn't expecting this, but obviously it's a very welcome surprise. Those of you who know me know that I've been writing, well, as long as I can remember, really, but it's only been the last few years that I've started writing children's fiction. So it's only right, I think, that I thank my daughter Abigail first, who's 6.5 now. If it wasn't for her and her big questions, none of these books would ever have been written. I wanted to thank my wife, Helen, for constantly supporting me and having faith in my work. My agent, Nadine, from High Spot Literary. Sarah Wilkins, the illustrator, obviously, done a fantastic job. Came up with the right balance of wonder and whimsy that I knew I wanted without really even knowing I wanted it. The whole team at Penguin Random House, and obviously the New Zealand Book Awards Trust as well, and their sponsors for making this award even possible. All the other competitors in the picture book category. It was just an honour to be nominated alongside such authors of such calibre. And my friend Laurie Patchett and his partner Tina as well. I want to thank them for the generous feedback they provided on the very first draft of this book, without which it never would have taken the form that it did. So, ngā mihi nui kia koutou.
Congratulations, Matthew, and of course, illustrator Sarah Wilkins, as well as publishers Puffin, Penguin Random House. Now we move on to the junior fiction category. This award is generously sponsored by the Wright Family Foundation and named in memory of New Zealand novelist, journalist and community worker Alice Esther Glen. First created by Lianza in 1945, it's the country's longest-running prize for children's books. The 2020 finalist for the Wright Family Foundation Esther Glen Award for Junior Fiction are #TUMEKE, written by Michael Petherick and published by Annual Inc., Massey University Press. Will Newton's first Waitangi Day celebration ever get off the ground? This ambitious multimedia mashup presents a fresh take on storytelling. Lizard's Tale, written by Wing-Wei Chan and published by Text Publishing. Set in Singapore's Chinatown during World War II, Lizard finds himself embroiled in a world of spies, covert missions, and danger. Moonlight the Unicorns, HICCUP, written by Sally Sutton, illustrated by Kirsten Richards, and published by Scholastic New Zealand. Cute illustrations and engaging characters turn a glamorous high tea into a big mess. Prince of Ponies, written by Stacey Gregg and published by HarperCollins Publishers. 2 characters, 2 time periods, and 2 unforgettable horses. Historical fact and thrilling fiction make for one satisfying story. Time Machine and Other Stories, written by Melinda Shimonik and published by Ahoy, the Cuba Press. A collection of short stories that takes the reader on unexpected journeys, with plenty of twists to keep it interesting. To tell us a little more about the junior fiction category and to announce the winner, we welcome Judge Steph Matuku.
The junior fiction category was one of the largest this year, with 34 wonderful entries. The 5 books that we selected as finalists epitomise the best of New Zealand junior fiction. Kids, teachers and parents will love them. These works are engaging, relevant, clever and entertaining. And with a mix of short stories, novels and multimedia, there really is something for everyone. I am super stoked to announce that the 2020 winner of the Wright Family Foundation Esther Glen Award for Junior Fiction is Lizard's Tale, written by Wing-Wei Chan and published by Text Publishing. Congratulations. Lizard's Tale is a standout, not only for its gripping storyline, which includes espionage, kidnapping, daring escapes, and covert missions, but also for its convincing characters and historical detail. Readers are given a tantalising insight into the culturally diverse world of Singapore's Chinatown during World War II, offering a glimpse of history seen from a new, exciting angle. Fast-paced and assured, this is a confident debut from an exciting new talent.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to the Wright Family Foundation for this year's Esther Glen Award for Junior Fiction. I'm absolutely thrilled that a book set in Singapore in 1940 about a scrappy kid called Lizard has had so much support in New Zealand. As a first-time author, I've had a great deal to learn about everything, and so many people have helped me on the way. Thank you so much to my husband Martin and our 3 kids for both your patience and your impatience. And also thanks to all at Text Publishing, especially to my wonderful editor Jane Pearson and her sharp, sharp pencil. Thank you to the award sponsors, the Wright Family Foundation, Leanza, and all the hardworking judges at the NZCYA Book Awards. To the New Zealand Society of Authors, thank you for helping me to get published in the first place. Finally, I'd like to thank my dad, who grew up in Chinatown in Singapore, and my mum, who taught me to love books. Thank you.
Congratulations, Wingway, and also to Text Publishing. Before we move to the next category, here's an update from Hell Pizza CEO Ben Cumming on the extraordinarily successful Hell Reading Challenge that runs alongside the awards.
Kia ora, everyone. This is Hell's 8th year sponsoring the awards, and it means a lot to us, so it's a real privilege to be speaking here to you, albeit virtually for the first time ever. First of all, a big congratulations to all of the finalists. It's awesome to see the strength and talent in New Zealand, and it's also really cool to hear that the industry has come back so strong after the lockdown. I'd like to say thanks to the New Zealand Book Awards Trust, especially to Belinda and Joy, who are such big supporters of Hell, even when the odd naysayer pipes up, and who do such important work to manage these awards and the Hell Reading Challenge. 2019 was a record breaker for the challenge. In total, schools and libraries around New Zealand ordered nearly 320,000 wheels, which amounts to more than 2 million books read by Kiwi kids. Like pretty much everything else, the challenge has been heavily disrupted in 2020, but we are confident we can push on and have a strong second half of the year and reignite the momentum lost during the lockdown. And that seems to be well and truly underway now, with nearly 200,000 wheels ordered this year so far. So everyone is clearly making up for lost time, which is great to see. Now, in a time when everyone is trying to innovate and pivot, it was really cool to see librarians around New Zealand are keeping up with the play, thinking outside the square and continuing to motivate kids to read. And we saw some amazing examples, including online systems for tracking books read, encouraging kids to submit online reviews and pictures, and even systems where kids could create a video review of the books they completed. Awesome stuff. So thanks to everyone who continues to put in a massive effort to make this reading challenge work. There are countless librarians, teachers, administrators, and parents who all deserve some of the credit. It is truly something to be proud of.
Thank you, Ben. Our next category is the Young Adult Fiction Award, and the 2020 finalists are AFAKASI Woman, written by Lani Went Young and published by One Tree House. A powerful collection of short stories that handles difficult topics with a strong series of Polynesian voices. Aspiring, written by Damien Wilkins and published by Annual Inc. Massey University Press. Artful and sophisticated use of language and storytelling delves into the mind of a 15-year-old growing up even faster than the world around him. The History Speech, written by Mark Sweet and published by Huia Publishers. A dive into a grimy side of 1960s provincial New Zealand life, with the main character perched on the difficult precipice of innocence and childhood. URSA, written by Tina Shaw and published by Walker Books Australia. Issues of privilege and power are explored in a compelling way that can be interpreted as fantastical alternate history or dystopia. Winter's Thief, written by Cheryl Jordan and published by One Tree House. This slice of medieval life historical fiction shows how strong two outsiders can be when chance throws them together in a world unwilling to accept them for who and what they are. Let's welcome Judge Briar Laurie to talk about the young adult fiction category and to announce the winner.
Tēnā koutou katoa. The young adult fiction finalists speak to the teenage experience in a way that is fresh and arresting. These books also demonstrate a trust in the maturity of teenagers. Some could be equally at home on adult shelves, but the spirit of the books still speaks to teenagers in a specific and vital way. They are never dull. Every story has layers to unpick and examine. Each book is confronting in its own way, and they always keep you turning the page. I am pleased to announce that the 2020 winner of the Young Adult Fiction Award is Aspiring, written by Damien Wilkins and published by Annual Inc., Massey University Press. Aspiring demonstrates a stunning insight into the teenage mind, both in its exploration of character and its respect for the intelligence of its audience. In Ricky, the book has a kind, thoughtful main character with difficult memories of family trauma. There are plenty of teens out there like Ricky, and it is to be hoped that seeing themselves reflected on the page in all their uncertain, wildly imaginative glory will remind them to stay true to their thoughtful and inquisitive selves.
Oh, this is so great and so unexpected. Look, I'm a complete novice in the area of writing for younger readers, and I do want to acknowledge my wonderful fellow writers who were shortlisted. I don't think my novel would have been written without prompting from Kate to Goldie, who carries this expansive idea of what children's writing can be. And my deepest thanks also to Susan Paris, who's the other half of Annual Inc. and who edited this book. Massey University Press has been such a pleasure to work with, and thanks to Nicola Leggett and her team. To have won the Young Adult Fiction Award is completely lovely, but also quite strange, because having written this novel, I'm still not clear about what a young adult novel is, or even what a young adult is. But maybe that position of not knowing makes the writer start afresh each time and makes us try things out and approach the task not from certainty about audience or anything really, but with the right degree of puzzlement, which seems to me to sit at the heart of the imagination. Kia ora and thank you again.
Congratulations, Damien, and also Annual Inc. and Massey University Press. And now we move on to the Non-Fiction Award, named after children's author and rights campaigner Elsie Locke, and first established by Lianza in 1986. The 2020 finalists for the Elsie Locke Award for Non-Fiction are KIWI and Friends Māori Picture Dictionary, written and illustrated by Kat Quinn, translated by Pānia Papa, and published by Illustrated Publishing, a vibrantly illustrated and thoughtfully constructed language learning tool that will help engage te reo Māori learners of all ages. MOPHEAD, written by Selena Tusitala Marsh and published by Auckland University Press, a genre-defying little book that tells one woman's story while also providing a dose of creative inspiration for budding artists from all walks of life. Te Tiriti o Waitangi, The Treaty of Waitangi, written by Ross Kalman and Mark Derby, illustrated by Toby Morris, translated by Piripi Walker, and published by Lift Education. This Reorua flipbook combines the best in carefully pitched educational writing with the engagement of comic-style illustration. The Adventures of TUPAIA, written by Courtney Sina Meredith, illustrated by Matt Tate and published by Allen and Unwin with Tāmaki Painga Hira Auckland War Memorial Museum. Beautiful prose, poetry and pictures combine to tell the important story of Arioi and navigator Tupaia in a sophisticated yet accessible way. 3 Kiwi Tales, written by Janet Hunt and published by Massey University Press. Readers are taken behind the scenes of ensuring the well-being of Aotearoa's national bird with a readable and enjoyable combination of science and history. To tell us more about the non-fiction category and to announce the winner, please welcome back Briar Laurie.
The field for the Elsie Locke Award for non-fiction this year was absolutely loaded with options, and the titles picked as finalists are truly something special. All 5 demonstrate highly skilled writing and all use design and either illustration or photography to better articulate their messages. They were a joy to experience from the first read to every reread that followed. Every single one of these books will be a valuable and treasured addition to any home bookshelf or school library collection. I am delighted to announce that the 2020 winner of the Elsie Locke Award for Non-Fiction is MOPHEAD, written by Selena Tusitala-Marsh and published by Auckland University Press. This book is a taonga. In MOPHEAD, Selena Tusitala-Marsh shares her own journey from a self-conscious child unsure of her place in the world to poet laureate rubbing shoulders with world leaders and literary luminaries. It is educational, it is inspirational, it is encouraging. The writing is masterful, accessible to any young reader while still sparkling with personality and verve. MOPHEAD should be placed in the hands of every child in Aotearoa.
Moppy Mayhem, what fantastic news. Thank you. Magnificent. Thank you to the judges, the award itself, the New Zealand reading public, all those kids. Thank you to all those people who stick out. The book is dedicated to you. Just want you to know that I got you. MOPHEAD has you, and how your difference can make the difference. Thank you to the Auckland University Press publishing team, Sam Alworthy, my editor-in-chief, Sophia Broom for your sharp eye, Vida Kelly for your beautiful design, Andy and Katarina, thank you. My friends, Janet Lindgren from New York, Helen Sword, Beata Schuler, for all their love and support. Sarah Gloria, my Toko Toko running Sherpa, my husband Dave, my sons Javan, Micah, Davey, and my old school buddies, especially Shanita Prasad, who asked me about the title. Said, do you really want to be known as MOPHEAD? And I said to her, absolutely. Thank you. Whawhataitele lava.
Congratulations, Selena, and publisher Auckland University Press. Our next category is the Russell Clark Award for Illustration, established in 1975 and named for the renowned New Zealand artist, illustrator and sculptor. It is presented for the book which best demonstrates the craft and skill of illustration. The 2020 finalists for the Russell Clark Award for Illustration are DOZER, The Firecat, illustrated by Jenny Cooper and published by Scholastic New Zealand. Dry, smoky, funny, scary and cute, with understated illustrations that exploit the properties of pencil and watercolour. Santa's Worst Christmas, illustrated by Isabel Joy Te Aho Wright and published by Huia Publishers. Lively and inclusive festive fun with gorgeously composed child-friendly illustrations that are uniquely reflective of Aotearoa. Song of the River, illustrated by Kimberly Andrews and published by Gecko Press. Detailed illustrations exude a love for nature and beautifully explore how it and humans interact. The Adventures of TUPAIA, illustrated by Matt Tate and published by Allen and Unwin with Tāmaki Painga Hira, Auckland War Memorial Museum. Stunningly pared back and powerful, the limited colour palette of this large format book serves as a shortcut towards drama and emotional impact. Wildlife of Aotearoa, illustrated and written by Gavin Bishop, published by Puffin, Penguin Random House. Big and beautiful, Bishop's inimitable watercolour style inspires readers to fall in love anew with this country's natural world. To talk to us about the illustration category and to announce the winner, let's welcome back Jane Arthur.
We were delighted to see a record 34 entries in the illustration category this year, which made for some tough decisions. Our 5 outstanding finalists seemed to have little in common at first. Their style, mood and subject matter almost couldn't be more varied. There are a mix of newcomers and others who've been nominated for this award in the past. But they all show great skill in texture and colour and what those qualities can evoke in the reader or viewer. It gives me great pleasure to announce that the 2020 winner of the Russell Clark Award for Illustration is The Adventures of TUPAIA, illustrated by Matt Tate and published by Allen and Unwin with Tāmaki Painga Hira, Auckland War Memorial Museum. Matt Tate's illustrations reach the reader on a brain, gut and aesthetic level. They teach us about our history by engaging our emotions via dramatic perspectives and powerful colours. A clever combination of modes is used: comic strips, vignettes, full spreads of starry skies and symbols from throughout the Pacific. The pared back, simple lines and limited colours give us the sense that history isn't merely something from the past, it's still happening now. These illustrations are modern and cool, but with an urgent fire in their belly.
Kia ora koutou. It's really a surprise and a huge honour to win this award, the Russell Clark Illustration Award. First of all, I'd like to thank Courtney Sena Meredith, whose beautiful and insightful words provided the direction and the inspiration for the artwork. And so huge thanks to you, Courtney. I really can't thank you enough. I'd like to thank Jenny Helen and everyone at Allen and Unwin and all of the kaimahi at the Auckland Museum for all of your hard work and support behind the scenes and for giving me the chance to do this. I also want to thank representatives from iwi and hapu who very generously offered their knowledge and their guidance throughout this process. Kei te mihi. My thanks to the New Zealand Book Awards for children and young adults, to the sponsors and judges. This is really overwhelming, and so I also want to acknowledge all of the outstanding and just gorgeous work represented this year. Nā reira, e rere atu raki mihi ki ngā uri a TUPAIA, ki ngā iwi, ngā hapu, ngā tāngata katoa hoki o Aotearoa, o Wright me te moana nui a kiwa I pāngia ai te tainga mai nei. O te endeavour, he toka tūmo ana nā reira, kei te mihi, tēnā rā tātou.
Congratulations, Matt, as well as author Courtney Sena Meredith and co-publishers Allen and Unwin and TUMEKE Painga Hira Auckland War Memorial Museum. Our final category is the Wright Family Foundation Te Kura Pounamu Award for a book that is written entirely in or translated entirely into Te Reo Māori. The 2020 finalists, decided by a panel of judges selected by Te Rōpū Whakahau, are Ara Pū Toi, written by Moira Wairama, illustrated by Austin HICCUP, and published by Baggage Books. This peacefully appealing book is bathed in the gentle rhythm of Te Reo Māori, as it teases out everyday events. Ko Flit te te reiraka me ngā he ki muna, written and illustrated by Kat Quinn and translated by Ngaire Roberts, published by Scholastic New Zealand. Te Reo Māori breathes naturally and rhythmically as we revisit familiar avian characters in a cosy and welcoming way. Ngā Hoa Hoiho o Kui, written and illustrated by Kat Quinn, translated by Pānia Papa, and published by Illustrated Publishing. Witi reo is used to mimic sounds and situations, and curious readers will make new discoveries at every story time. Te Krihimete I Whakakorea, written by Pānia Tahu Hodges and Bryony Walker, illustrated by Isabel Joy Te Aho White, and translated by Kawata Tepa, published by Huia Publishers. Beautifully illustrated and cleverly translated to rhyme, a story that is rooted firmly in Aotearoa. Te o Te Amu, written by Kuraho, illustrated by Leia Mutton Rogers, and published by Huia Publishers. This ageless and weighty story deals with universal themes, but at the same time reeks of whakaaro Māori. To tell us a little bit more about this category and to announce the winner, we welcome convener of the Te Kura Pounamu judges, Moana Munro.
He mihi kauana kia koutou ngā uri o ngā hau e whā, ara ngā matawaka o te motu o te ao whānui he waka e ke noa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. These Te Kura Pounamu finalists hold that special glow. They're the stories that keep your heart warm. They're the soft, welcoming little embers rekindled, encouraging the reader to explore both the normal and uncomfortable. These books all share the kaupapa of kindness, respect, forgiveness, and also a little bit of cheekiness. I am very happy to announce that the 2020 winner of Te Kura Pounamu Award for Te Reo Māori is Chio Chiamu, written by Kura Hau, illustrated by Leila Mutton-Rogers and published by Huia Publishers. Chio Chiamu is a gigantic character with the kindest heart and genuine love for his hapu. He overcomes challenges and deliberate acts of nastiness only to be shunned. Mixtures of if only moments are laid cautiously like an absorbing tangi. The senses of the readers are tuned into he aha te me nui o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. It is known the most important thing in the world is its people. This te reo journey exudes manaaki tangata with generosity, benevolence and grace.
Hali kua na koe ke tēnei o nā puka ki tēnei o nā taumata i tēnei wā. He haui hari kua ai, nā te mea ko te tangata kai roto, he tangata aroha ki te tangata, ngā kau nui ki te tangata ke, tautoko i nā tāngata. Nā re hari kua nau kua wiki tōria tērā momo tangata. I tētahi ao, he ue no, te orango te tangata, he nui nā whakamātautau, kei mui te tangata, nā tāngata kaikiri, nā tāngata pēhi te wairua, nā tāngata tūkino, nā reira he pai ana ko riro mā te ngā kaupai, ko te ngā kaupai i toa i tēnei o nā tui.
Kei runga noa tu koutou ko Kura Hau, rātou ko te kaituhi Leila Mutton-Rogers me te whānau Huia Publishers. That completes our category presentations, and soon we'll move on to the final award of the evening, the Margaret Mahy Book of the Year. But first, please welcome Stephen Wainwright, Chief Executive of Creative New Zealand, cornerstone funder of the New Zealand Book Awards for Children and Young Adults. After Stephen, judging convener Jane Arthur will return to announce the 2020 Supreme Winner.
Noho te ao, the world is yours. Tēnā koutou katoa. Congratulations to the talented array of writers and illustrators that we've just seen acknowledged. Ka mau te wehi. Creative New Zealand is a proud and long-standing supporter of these awards because they boost the profile and sales for writers, illustrators and publishers, all of whom are so dedicated to creating literature for our rangatahi so that they can develop a sense of themselves and an understanding of their place in the world. Reading, after all, is proven to be the major determinant of later life success. Children's literature allows tamariki an escape to another world and stimulates their imaginations. It's a supremely important part of our national literature. And the COVID-19 environment has been a difficult one for the sector, so with a record 178 entries this year, we're very encouraged by the public's renewed interest in supporting New Zealand books for children and young adults. We hope that these awards will continue to provide a way to grow readership, sales, and recognition for writers and illustrators. Now I'm excited for the final award announcement, the Margaret Mahy Book of the Year.
Margaret Mahy once began a poem with, "If you don't believe in fairy tales, the world will break in half," which is one way of expressing the profound importance of stories. Without them, we can't know ourselves. The category winners this year present a snapshot of New Zealand in 2020, which is a country firmly expressing and exploring itself and its complex history, while always maintaining its quirky sense of humour. These books are world-class. Abigail and the Birth of the Sun has us discovering the universe with a sense of wonder. Aspiring makes us squirm in recognition of awkward though sweet adolescence. Lizard's Tale is a fascinating and compelling historical adventure story. Te Otiamu is a stunning and smelly tale of acceptance. MOPHEAD too fights for our right to be unique, and The Adventures of TUPAIA points out where we've come from. Our books for children and young adults tell us who we are and why, and reassure us that it's okay to be who we are. They tell us to keep striving, keep questioning, to laugh, to keep our eyes open and not be ashamed. And the book that encapsulates all these qualities and then some is our supreme winner this year. I am honoured and excited to announce that the winner of the 2020 New Zealand Book Awards for Children and Young Adults, Margaret Mahy Book of the Year, is MOPHEAD by Selena Tusitala-Marsh, published by Auckland University Press. This magic book reaches past our brains and squeezes life into our hearts and imaginations. MOPHEAD is a book that places its writer at the centre of her own story, but also draws lines out to all the other stories and histories that make up an individual: culture, literature, family, and education. We love this book's design and production. We love that it's part picture book, part graphic novel, part memoir, part poem. Its form is exactly what it wants and needs to be, which is the message of the book too. MOPHEAD is clever and joyful and inspiring, with not a smidgen of pretension or condescension. It's, dare we say, perfect.
Wow, that's nuts. Moppy madness, moppy mayhem, moppy magnificence. I'm incredibly humbled that MOPHEAD story has just found its way into the reader's heart, and you know it broke all the rules as far as I'm concerned. I insisted on doing the drawings myself. You know, my gorgeous publisher, Sam, said, you know, the drawings are beautiful and quirky, but we're a press. We can contract out a professional children's illustrator to do this. And I was like, that's not my story. Everything about MOPHEAD is about me. And the message is that if I can do it, you can do it. And thank you for believing in this quirky, out-of-the-box kid who came from nowhere and has just kept standing in her difference. And I'm incredibly humbled, and I see the impact that she has on kids and adults alike. And I just want to thank everyone who I mentioned in my earlier speech for supporting her birthing. And watch out, world, she's coming back. Thank you so much. Whawhitai tele lava. Thank you.
Wow, that fantastic announcement and Selena's speech brings this presentation to a close. But before you switch off, let's once again congratulate all tonight's finalists and winners for their mahi. Thanks also to our brave and clever judges and the generous sponsors who make these awards possible. What next? Well, tomorrow you could head out and buy these wonderful puku at your local shop. Or, right now, visit our virtual bookstore by clicking on the link in the description here. Neira te mihi manahau ki a koutou katoa kua tai mai nei. Tēnā koutou, o te rā, tēnā tātou katoa. We look forward to welcoming you back in person next year.
MOPHEAD. I really like the illustrations in it.
The storyline.
The Prince of Ponies.
Called Lizard's Tale.
And she's really good at everything.
It's all about codes and spies and plans and yeah.
And then they finally accepted him, but he had died. And then everybody stopped mocking her about her crazy hair.